greatly appreciate you taking the time to spend a few moments with me and talking about tips for teaching kids good sportsmanship. If you don't know me, I'm Darcy Zalewski from Life with Darcy and Brian. Can't forget my husband. Our website is darcyandbrian.com, and then we also have our family gaming site and YouTube channel, which is Stay at Home Gamers. So we do a lot of gaming with our kids. We do a lot of gaming in general, video games, board games, and it's not always easy to teach the kids how to lose gracefully and win gracefully. I mean, we've got both sides of it. So teaching them good sportsmanship. And I think that's an important thing to do. And I'll be honest, I don't always do it perfectly. But I continue to learn on how to navigate that with my kids. And now that my children are 7 and 5, I feel like we navigated a little bit better than we used to. Especially with the little guy. I feel like, it's a little bit harder when they've got the siblings against each other playing sometimes and trying to sort that out versus if you're just playing with your child. So I wanted to share a few tips with you that we use and things that we try to instill in our kids when it comes to good sportsmanship. So the first thing is definitely focusing on the fun. That is one of the reasons why I love cooperative games, especially for like the preschool age, because when they're so little, they enjoy playing and they're just kind of starting to learn how to follow the rules. And even with cooperative games, you still have to take turns and there are still rules to follow, but everybody that's playing is working as a team. So you're playing kind of against the game. So it's more of an accomplishment versus winning. And then it's, whether everyone wins together. If you accomplish it, then it's essentially winning. But if you don't accomplish it, that's everybody has worked together to do their best with the game. And, everyone has a say. Not everyone has a say, but you're working together to reach an end goal. And so it's a little bit easier to focus on the fun because you're not as focused on competing against each other. And little kids are still kind of learning what it means to win or lose and how to handle that. And that's not always an easy thing. And I mean, really, it's even with as much as we play games, it is not easy to teach someone how to lose. I mean, they get in their emotions. I mean, and that's okay. So we definitely focus on the fun. That's one of the main things. We don't want to focus solely on winning or losing, and we talk about how winning doesn't equal good, losing doesn't equal bad. If you win, you win, but that doesn't mean that if you lost, that there's something wrong with how you played or any of that kind of thing. So focusing on the fun, finding games and activities that focus on the accomplishment versus who was in first or who won can definitely help, especially when they're younger. Excuse me. And when they do get upset, trying to be as calm, and I will be honest, I am not always calm when they start getting mad at each other about who won and whatever. Sometimes you just have to totally step away from that game. But talking about how it's okay to feel disappointed if you lose, and it's okay to feel happy when you win, but it's how we act towards each other when we do those things. If we lose, we're not going to throw the game. We're not going to throw game pieces. We're not going to yell at each other. Their feelings are valid, but it's how we act and how we behave with those feelings. And even with winning, it's okay to be happy and proud of winning, but it's not okay to make someone else feel bad by, excessively gloating and that sort of thing. It's really important to, talk about how you enjoyed playing the game together, whether you won or lost. So we focus on that a lot with the kids. And I'm sure some of you have even seen my little guy get a little teary when we've played games live because may get upset about not winning or not being, even sometimes if he's not second, because sometimes we'll, depending on what kind of game it is, we'll continue to play until everyone has made it to the end, trying to focus on that accomplishment piece versus just the idea of winning or losing. And we don't always know how they're going to react. So, sometimes they're totally fine with it, and other times not so much. And sometimes one kid's upset, and then the other one is the next turn. And those nights can be a little bit tough. And sometimes that means you just have to kind of step away from the game. But again, with teaching good sportsmanship, focusing on the fun versus the winning, and focusing on accomplishment, those definitely help when they're younger, which again is why I love cooperative games. But we can't always play the cooperative games. There's other games that we like to play too that have, some games have more of a strategy, so it does depend on how you're doing your gameplay. Other games are based a lot on luck of the draw or the roll of the dice, and just kind of exposing them to different types of gameplay and teaching them and letting them experience how those things vary, that their game piece getting to the end, it's different depending on the type of game that we're playing, or how, what does winning look like, because some games it's not exactly winning, it's just getting there first or whatever, because some stuff is based on skill and some is not. Or like with the cooperative games, all of us, reaching the end goal together. The other thing is definitely talking about the rules and expectations before you start playing, because some kids get upset and they want to change the rules midway through to, satisfy their need to feel like they're winning, or just because they're frustrated and so they want to change it. And sometimes they don't even realize it's exactly what they're doing. And that's one of my daughter's least favorite things, is me going over the rules before we play. But it's important to set those rules and expectations at the beginning, because you're teaching them how to follow the rules and expectations throughout the entire game, whether or not it's going their way or not. Like, taking turns, playing fair, that those are just expectations, whether or not you're winning or losing, like that you have to follow the rules. And then the other thing that's tough is figuring out whether or not you should let your kids lose. Sometimes it feels like, oh, I should let my kid win. And I'll be honest, sometimes I do, or sometimes I might not make a move that I would make if I was playing against another adult, because I want to give them another chance or let them kind of figure things out. And sometimes it's to avoid if I know that they're having kind of a rough day. But you also have to let them, they have to experience losing. So you can't let them win all the time. And I know it's a really tough thing to sort out, like whether you should let them win or not. Instead of just totally letting them win, one thing that is helpful is to give them advice on how to play better, or how to look at a move that they weren't considering. Like if you know that the move that they're going to make is going to make them lose, and you know that there's a better move they could do, just helping coach them so they can kind of learn strategy and things like that a little bit more. And it's different if you're modifying the game from the beginning, because there are games where we do change the rules to make it a little bit easier because of having two different age kids playing. But when that happens, those rules have been changed from the beginning. We aren't changing it partway through. So those are just a few things that, a few tips that I wanted to share that we use when we're trying to teach them how to, for one, play together as a group, and then also dealing with all those big emotions and feelings whether they're winning or losing. It's important for them to learn good sportsmanship. Even though we play games together a lot, especially with school, they're going to be playing more and more with other kids. They're going to be playing with their friends. They're going to be playing with people they, don't know very well. So it's important that they're able to play a game with other kids and not have it result in a complete meltdown or a fight or any of that kind of thing. But I mean, it's true, losing isn't super fun, but playing the game is, or whatever the activity is. And I think board games are a really good way to help teach this to good sportsmanship, and that helps. It applies to other areas of life where you're in a team situation, and I think it's a really good way to start that foundation, especially at home, because you can start playing games when they're like 3, 4, even though sometimes those games are not super exciting as an adult to play, but it helps them learn good sportsmanship and how to take turns. So a quick recap, with teaching good sportsmanship, with playing board games, focusing on fun, validating feelings, but talking about, our behavior with what we do with those feelings, focusing on accomplishment rather than winning or losing, being clear about rules and expectations of the game at the beginning and sticking to those rules and expectations, and helping our kids learn how to play different games, I want to say better, by giving them advice on how to have better gameplay, so that maybe next time they play, they're looking at different strategy and how they move throughout the game rather than just whatever it was that they were thinking of, because they aren't thinking 2 steps ahead or whatever. If you have any other tips that you would add, please leave them in the comments. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.